You're listening to PoPolitickin.com. We got you stuck off the realness.
All the righteous people join together and unify. Take back our families and children multiply. Show them how to live to the standard we died for. Teach them by God, put them first and ride for them. The devil being busy and he using the media. Destroying young minds, don't feed out the evil, bro. The story been told in the Bible, don't bite the out. See, our life matter, we just tired for being black. We weigh much more than the shit they broadcast. We just get dough, feed the family, and live lavish. Some work 9 to 5, the other half still trapping. Some treat our sisters like queen, other disrespect them. Our women got to prove to our men they more than set. In order to get respect, the sister respect yourself. We all get in a situation, we do what we got to do. But change it good, don't let the world throw you through the loop. And yeah, I'm representing Columbia, Mississippi. Mr. Tria, it's Amar. And I'm politicking with my boy Po on Po Politickin.
PoPolitickin.com.
Welcome back to Po Politickin. We're now politicking with Andre Taylor. Andre Taylor is a leader, activist, a mentor, and he's also known as for his role in the movie American Pimp is Gorgeous Dre. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well.
All right, man. Like I said, you always been in the back of my mind, a person I really wanted to interview, so I'm glad to have you on. All right. So
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you, man. So the first thing I want you to talk about, man, because I follow you on Facebook, and I seen you've been talking about your brother and the situation happened with him, so I just feel like that's like, we should bring that up first and just talk about that situation and what happened and bring awareness to it.
Yeah, well, February 22nd, the Seattle Police Department assassinated my little brother, Shay Taylor. And I was just on my way back from Vegas, the magic show. So I got back, and the next day I heard this happen to my brother. And so on the 22nd, I flew up to Seattle. And they released the dash cam video and showed that my brother complied with the police officers because, when a shooting happens, the first thing that the police, the system wants to do is they want to control the narrative, right?
Right.
So it's important that when situations like this happen, I always tell people, especially our people, that you're not so reactionary. We as a people are emotional, and we're so reactionary. So when you are a reactionary people, you empower the people that make you react. So it was important to me not to be reactionary, but to be responsive, right? Because I already know that the system always wants to control the narrative. So they put out information about my brother's criminal past, to villainize him, as if because of his criminal past we had a right to murder him. So they do this always with everybody that they kill. They'll try to create this narrative of this heinous person or this criminal as if this gives them a right to then kill somebody because they're trying to create the narrative. So that's what they did with my brother. They put out his criminal past. He had already done 22 years in prison, and he had only been home for 16 months. So whatever criminal activity he was involved in was 25 years ago. So he did his time for that. So that don't give you a right that you should kill him. So anyway, being that I know how the system works, I went out there to try to fight with the narrative. So that's what I've been doing. I built some relationships with media outlets out here. We also, whenever they put some information out, we make sure we respond to the information they put out with our response instead of a reaction. And if our people around the country would understand that we cannot be reactionary, we must be responsive, you'll get a further way because they're prepared for our anger. You can go up there and march 400 times a year, and be reactionary. We need to have our own narrative, and we need to continue to push our own narrative when situations like this happen. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm pushing our own narrative, and what we've been able to do, which has never been done in the country before, mind you. There's a law up here that's the most regressive law in the United States, which means that in order for charges to be brought up on a police officer, we in Seattle, in the state of Washington, have to prove that a police officer had malice, which is an impossible thing to prove because malice is a state of mind.
Right.
So, hence, all these police officers have been getting off here and all over the country because we think when a police officer uses deadly force that he's investigated for a homicide like we would be. Police officers are not investigated for homicides. They're investigated to see whether they follow the law. So if the law states that we have to prove malice in order to bring them up on charges, which is an impossible thing to prove, hence they continue to get off. So the last thing I'm going to say about this is what we've done is we've created an initiative that we got back from Olympia, the state, from the capital of Washington. And this initiative that was started last year by other people was killed in a committee out here, and it couldn't go to the legislative department because really what it's all about is the laws. There's nothing more important than the laws that's on the book. This is how we are continually being disenfranchised and defeated by these laws. So my objective was to make sure we fight where the fight is, and that's these laws. So we created this initiative that was defeated last year by the powerful police union. But what we did this year is we made a ballot initiative that goes past the committee, that comes to the people, to the American people, to the people of Washington. Well, we are now in the process within the next 5 days to raise 250,000 signatures, and with that, it goes to the legislative department, and they have two chances. They have two choices. Either they change the law or it goes to the voters through the ballot. So we have to learn how to fight, and the fight is the laws. If we put our resources to start understanding what the advantage that the system has, then we'll fight the right fight. We can march till we're blue in the face. We have to combat these laws, and that's what I'm doing. Fighting for the narrative and combating these laws, going after these laws. That's the fight. Let's go, people. All right.
All right, man. So I want you to talk about what can they, is it like a website or anything they can go to help out with the cause, or anything they can do, like the listeners?
Well, what's going to happen is that my website, I have two websites. I have a website called OperationAndreTaylor.org, and I have a website that I created for the movement called NotThisTime.global. NotThisTime.global is a movement I started after they assassinated my brother. And there's a lot more information on there and that we'll continue to put out. So this is not for the country yet. But once we defeat this with this initiative we have, this that we're doing right now, it is the biggest thing for our people all over this country because it's our new civil rights movement. Once we get this law changed in Washington, it will then create a snowball effect around this country. So it's very, very important to focus on what's going on here first, because this is the first time we've ever done it in the country, to have a ballot initiative for this particular thing with police brutality. So it's important that the nation is focused on what's going on here. I've also reached out to some of my friends in Los Angeles and people in some pretty powerful entertainment positions so that we can keep and have a national platform. And see, the problem is that we are not aware. Our people are not aware of what's going on. Hence, we keep getting in these situations where these police officers are killing us and getting off because we are not aware of the laws. So my job is to inform us as a people, not only us, but I also have the tribes, all the Native American tribes that are also joining with us to fight this initiative, to fight this law through this initiative, and the Latino community as well, and white folks. So we have to galvanize the American people so that we are informed about how these laws are written to protect these police officers and make them accountable for murder, because they are not held accountable. So NotThisTime.global gives people some more insight about what's going on, and OperationAndreTaylor.org is just information about my life, where I come from, what I'm doing, my product, and all of those things. So they can go through both of those places. And of course, my Facebook.
Okay. And then I want you to talk about some of your like daily habits and rituals you do every day when you wake up.
Well, when I wake up, I make sure I have some devotion time. You know, I make sure I get some devotion in and spend some of that quality time, meditation, prayer, whatever you want to call it, but it's devotion to me. So thing that I do. And then because of this this movement, I've been having to go to rallies. I give meetings every Wednesday. Not this time meetings in Seattle, Washington, at a place called the SVI, the Seattle Vocational Institute, in Seattle, Washington, for the community to keep people informed. So that's what I do every Wednesday. But in addition to that, I go to rallies. I just came from a rally in Olympia, Washington yesterday for two kids that was national news, Bryson and Andre, who were shot by police officers while they were on their skateboards. And a police officer tried to kill them, shot one of them like 7 times, but they both survived, shot one of the brothers in the stomach. So this was a year anniversary yesterday for them. So I'm trying to be as many places as I can with the Not This Time movement, supporting the people, informing the people in those areas about these laws and what we could do, to rectify the situation. You see, there's been times in history that we haven't been able to do anything about what's been happening to us. We just had to take it up. 400 years in slavery, we couldn't do it. We had to take the rape of our people, our babies being used as alligator bait, men getting their genitals cut off. We had to take the greatest evils and the atrocities known to mankind. We had to take that. But now we're living in a time that we don't have to take it, that we can do something about it. We don't have to feel helpless anymore. We have initiative, and we can do something about it, and we are doing something about it. The disadvantages that we have right now is that we haven't been informed. We are an uninformed people, so we don't know where to fight. So right now, the most important thing to me is to inform the people in Washington and then the rest of us around the country about how to win, how to fight. If you're going to strike a blow, strike it where it's going to count. And it's all through the law, the legislative branch. We need to fight the laws.
And now I was gonna say,
every day.
because I know you have a son. I have a son. So what would you say to like the young black men out here right now? Because it seems like it's like basically hunting season on them. What would you tell them?
Well, it's hunting season because of the position and the predicament that we find ourselves in today. There's a lot of voices out there that want to fight a situation because, they want to take up arms and all that. That wouldn't be wise. You can't fight a people that have the military that go to other people's country and take their country away from them. You can't fight a people like that, right? So that's not the smart thing to do. But what I often tell our people is that I will never send our people into a war when we're fractured by self-hate. That's the most important thing right now that I speak to our communities is the self-hate. Because you can't galvanize the people if you're trying to galvanize people that hate each other, right? So we have a problem with self-hate. Most of us, our youngsters, you look in the mirror, you couldn't like yourself. You couldn't like yourself because it's so easy for you to pull down and draw down on somebody who looks like you. You couldn't like yourself. So I got to communicate to them of what is going on mentally with you and what has happened to you through these years of indoctrination to make you not like yourself and then to make you hate your brother. We got these rappers up here celebrating that they got a body. You celebrating that you're going to kill another black man. I come from the streets, so I can speak to them like this. I was a general on them streets. Did fair time. Never told on anybody. Stood up like a true soldier supposed to be. So I command in the respect of my community. So when I speak to these youngsters out there, they can't tell me nothing about the struggle. I'm born from a pimp and a prostitute. All the disadvantages of a black man, I had them. Rose up and overcame them. And I know they can too. This is serious business. I have very great animosity against our people that's killing our people. Yes, I'm fighting against police brutality, but I got to fight against brutality we have against ourselves as well. Can't sit around here and think that's okay. And then these people talking about, now this thing out about snitching. They don't know nothing about. They don't even understand the concept of what they talking about. You ain't snitching. Let me tell you something. If you in these streets, right, and you and your partner, or you got people in these streets, and you commit a crime, and your partner telling you he done snitched on you. But if you in these streets, and a civilian sees you operating in some illegalities, and they say something about those illegalities that you're participating in, they are not not in the game. They are civilians. They don't operate under the same system that we operate in when we in these streets. They ain't snitching. So you saying that we want to be able to allow anybody just to do anything? What if we had our own nation right now? What about black nations over in Jamaica and places in Africa that there's only black police officers in? We just allow people to do what they want to do? We just allow you to come in there and rape somebody's child and kill somebody's mama and think that's okay and say you can't say nothing because you snitching? We can't raise a nation like that. We have to raise a nation with laws, and that has to start amongst our own people. Think you can just do anything? Yes, I was out there pimping 20 years ago, and I was passionate about what I was doing. That's the truth. I'm very open about how I live my life and what I had to overcome in my life. I don't judge them brothers. I know there's a struggle out there. I understand that people want to eat and they're hungry. And it's not the ideal situation for our people because some of our people out there feeling that we have to do what we have to do. And I understand that because there was a time during slavery that they made us do the things that they call legal today. They made us do it. Right? But about this killing each other? No. I'm against that 1,000%. We can't do that because what you do is you minimize the value of a black life. So it makes it that much more easy for a police officer to go and kill you. You don't care nothing about yourself. I got a problem with that. So I got to speak to these youngsters about thinking that it's some powerful, big old stuff because you pull the trigger and kill somebody that looks like you. You're going to stop that mess. Because then you're going to make yourself an enemy against us trying to bring ourselves together as a people. And you're going to be on the wrong side of history. Because we're going to rise righteous young black men up that's going to fight against that self-destruction. So if you don't wake up, you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of history because we ain't going to keep standing for it as a people. That's how I feel about that and youngsters in these streets.
All right. And then, like, you touched on it some, but I just want you to, because, like, when I first watched American Pimp, like, that's one of my favorite movies. I always watch it. And I heard you talk, like, I could tell you're very intelligent. Just the way you was talking, I was like, man, this dude's very, very smooth and intelligent, how he's putting everything together. So can you just talk about your background and your influences and everything?
Well, I told you my dad was a pimp. My mom was in the game. She was a hoe. That was the time in her life. She ended up getting married and lived a square life and everything. So as a child, of course, I grew up in that lifestyle. So I have a perspective from a child. And when I was when I was in federal court, and they was about to sentence me, the judge asked me, Mr. Taylor, is there something you would like to say? I said, yes, I would. I said I was born by the seed of I was born from the seed of a pimp in the womb of a prostitute. I said, this is what society says. I said, but in actuality, it was my mama and my daddy. The people who loved me, fed me, caressed me. And even if society feels that these people are the scum of the earth, I couldn't think of them that way. How could I? I had a different understanding. They wouldn't bat to me. And that's what I told the judge. I don't care what you think about the people that raised me. I couldn't think of them that way. I had a different understanding. So I went through the lifestyle and participated in myself. And when I've done other interviews, and I remember I did an interview maybe 8 years ago, and a guy was telling me, you act like you are happy because of what you did or you celebrate. And I said, man, listen, when you on them streets, if you're not 110% about them streets, you're going to get killed or ran over. So you damn right when I was in it, I was 100% in it. I wasn't playing around because I was facing life and death situations every day. And I was going to be 100% while I was out there in them streets doing what I'm doing. Right? Just like I'm 100% doing what I'm doing now as an activist, a life coach, and a teacher and a leader. So I was 100% passionate about what I was doing in them streets when I was doing it. But just like Malcolm X when he was out there pimping, when he got the call to change his life, I got the call to change mine. And when y'all give you the call, I answered. Everybody don't, but I did.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I did this.
When did I was going to actually ask you that? When did that happen? Like, I guess you say transformation. When did that calling come?
Well, have to understand that before I got into the lifestyle, that I used to be a Christian before I got into the lifestyle. So I already had some fundamentals of those spiritual principles living inside of me. Of course, I'm not a Christian now. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I don't think that any black person is a Christian. I think that Christian and whatever what has been given upon our people through white supremacy and slavery is not who we were pre-slavery. So I'm interested in who we were pre-slavery. In pre-slavery, I believe that we were Hebrew Israelites by blood and not relation. But anyway, so yeah, I lived a life, man, and did it 100% and was big at it at the time, you know, and overcame it. But I'm glad that I went that direction and I went that path, because it gives me that greater opportunity to then reach out to my community or to that demographic that's involved in the streets right now. Because them brothers ain't trying to hear nobody. These guys out there trying to talk to them. You ain't been touched by the pits of their poverty. You can't speak into them people's lives. You know, you got to understand them. You got to understand why they do what they do. You know, so I'm glad that God allowed me to go through that situation, because now I can at least reach out, you know, and be an example that there is life after the game.
Yeah, I'm saying, what's the name of those? I always see you. I don't know the name of them, but I always see you wearing those shirts, man. What's the name of them? Just clean.
They're caftans. Caftans have been around for thousands of years. It's from our people. Now, other cultures have adopted caftans. Like Indians call them kurtis for women and kurtas for men. In Senegal, they're called boo-boos. You know, and Nigeria and Ghana, everybody, that they're generally called caftans. That's been around thousands of years. So, you know, I adapted the caftans in response to a repudiation of European dictation of what class and style and beauty is, you know. So I don't think that the Europeans should have the right to decide what's classy, what's beautiful, you know, what's sophisticated. So I wear my caftans like I used to wear them suits, you know, because I believe that they're classy and they're cultured, most of all. So it links me. It makes me feel like I have a link to culture. That's why I wear them.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I say this right, but I follow you on social media, and you always talk about like how men should have self-confidence and value themselves.
Right.
Yeah. So can you just talk about the importance of that? Like, why? I mean, it's just for the listeners. Like, why you think that's important?
Well, you have to understand that even in American Pimp, I said that before you are a pimp, doctor, lawyer, that my father taught me that you got to be a man first.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that you have to be a man of principle, some integrity, and some character and honor. You have to be a man first. And I just believe that applies across the board, no matter what you're doing, that you then must be a man first. And I think the problem, especially in our culture, being that youngsters have been raised by their mothers, that they don't know or understand the concept of what a man is, because they believe that being a man is turning 18 years old, instead of understanding that a man, so you're born a gender, right? You're either a male or a female. That's a gender, right? Mm-hmm. So people believe that once they turn 18, a guy in our communities believe that once he turns 18, that you become a man. I say you're not a man, you're still a gender. Because I believe a man is a position. And there's certain characteristic one has to have in order to then say that he is said man. And if you don't have these characteristics about you, if you don't have some fundamentals about you, then you can't hold the position, the office of manhood. So there's a lot of guys around here walking around thinking that they are a man, but they don't have the, how can I say, the characteristics. You don't have the characteristics of a man in order to then say that you are a man. It's like the president, you know, there are certain qualifications that you have in order for you to be the president, in order for you to hold the office of the presidency. So there's qualifications you have to also have to hold the office, the position of a man. And if you don't have those qualifications or characteristics, then you are not what you think you are. So you act like a male acts and not like a man. So you are an emotional person because you were raised by your mama, right? And that's not to denigrate woman. A woman is, God made her to be emotional because she's a woman, right? But he didn't make you to be emotional. So a man grows up and a child grows up and he is witnessing every day his mother deal with certain situations and problems emotionally. Because that's how she deals with it. That's her makeup. So then you grow up seeing how your mama has dealt with conflict, and then you, as a male, go out into the world and deal with situations through that emotional aspect also. Not understanding because your daddy wasn't there. Your daddy didn't tell you that men reason through things. They don't act emotionally to handle situations in conflict. They reason. And so because your daddy didn't tell you that men don't act like that when you go out and somebody steps on your shoe or somebody calls you a word and calls you out your name, you want to go fight and you get emotional, your daddy didn't tell you that men don't act like that. So the moment you get offended, you start acting like a female without you even knowing it. So when you get angry, guess what? You stop thinking. So that's one of those qualifications of manhood, your ability to continue to think beyond your anger. So most of our youngsters out there, this is why they quick to pull the trigger, quick to kill somebody that looks like them because they acting like broads. I don't want to be denigrating. They're acting like females, and females, we need them to be who they are. We need that emotionalism from a female. That's who she is. That's the beauty of who she is. But you as a male, it is unacceptable that you respond or you react out of your emotionalism. And so in our country, in our communities, we have a tremendous amount of males that are female acting and will never, ever enter into the office of manhood until a man teaches them. So this is what I try to do. I try to teach them because I live it by example.
So what are some of your current projects you're working on right now?
Well, like I said, right now, I'm dedicated right now to fighting the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's my current project. But I do life coach, but I can't do it as much as I did before because my dedication right now is to fighting the system, which is the greatest monster. But as I'm fighting this system, there will be times that there will be platforms created that I can then continue to teach our young men, and I will. But it is a major issue in our communities. A major. See, and these preachers out here ain't teaching them, well, I ain't going to say all of them, but a lot of them ain't. You know why? Because they ain't even men themselves.
I'm saying, I don't know. This kind of risque, but what do you feel about, now it's kind of like they taking the gender away. Like, how you got like Bruce Jenner and all them people like that. So now it's like, it's all that stuff, but then you can't even speak on it because you in the wrong.
Well, that's a perception, Once you don't live your life by what people think about you. You live your life by principle.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is another qualification of manhood, right? It's a principled discussion. Just because let me explain it like this. Today, crack cocaine is illegal, and cocaine is illegal, right? And there's a lot of these drugs that are illegal. But did you know that also alcohol was illegal at one time? Did you know that the alcohol trade was just as violent as the drug trade right now?
Yeah.
That they were drive-by shootings, that there were bombings and killings and people being put in prison for life and so many police strategic forces going out to try to quell it and stop it. Same thing that's going on today. This has happened before. Well, because they believe that it was wrong. Who? The American government, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just like they believe that drugs are wrong, right? So when the American government decided it wasn't wrong anymore, they legalized it. Oh, now it's okay. So you cannot live your life based upon what the government has dictated what right and wrong is. Because there was a time that slavery was right. There was a time that you were wrong if you wanted to run. With the idea of right or wrong because of their past, right? So I don't. So when you ask me this question, I'm just saying that just because they said that what Catherine Jenner, whatever this guy name is, whatever is right, don't necessarily mean that it's right for me because I live a principled life. So based upon principles of my ideology or my spiritual beliefs, I could then take a stand and say, to me, it is not the ideal situation or the right situation, or it's wrong, right? Somebody asked me one time when I was speaking, do you think that homosexuals don't love God? Would you say homosexuals don't love God? Or gay people don't love God? I said I would never make a statement like that. I would never in my life say that a homosexual or a gay person don't love God. I would never say that. I would never say a prostitute don't love God. I would never say a pimp, a drug dealer. I would never say any of these people do not love God. But what I will say is that they might not love him the way he requires to be loved. Because I don't believe that the relationship is predicated upon how you want to love him. I think that the relationship is predicated on how he wants to be loved. Because if the relationship is only predicated upon how you want to love God, you will never have to change. You can still continue to be whatever you want to be. But if the relationship is predicated on how he wants to be loved, then some change has to happen in your life.
And how does he want to be loved?
Well, that's something that you have to go and discover from what you believe. You know, so as an Israelite, as a Hebrew Israelite, there are certain things that I believe. And I don't go try to twist nobody's arm to believe that. But that's what I stand upon. And I'm comfortable with. You know? And that's just what it is.
All right. And what are some of your favorite books?
One of my favorite books is Sid Harther by Herman Hesse. I love that book. It's an awesome book. It's a small book, but it's a very powerful book. I also love James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. I love Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world. I love great thinkers. I love great minds. I love Norman Vincent Peale. My ultimate favorite book is by the black man Alexander Dumas, The Count of Monte Cristo. I love that book.
All right.
I love that book.
In 5 years from now, we're going to do a follow-up interview. So 5 years from now, what are we going to be talking about?
I don't know what we're going to be talking about in 5 years from now. I'm not going to be doing no talking in 5 years. I'm going to be doing some doing.
All right.
So if in 5 years from now, you're going to be talking about what I've been doing.
All right. Cool. I can dig it. All right. And then I look at this show, this podcast as a time capsule. So I'm hoping 200 years from now, somebody finds this and listens to it. So 200 years from now, somebody finds this, what would you want them to know about you?
Well, 200 years from now, if somebody finds this, I think I said enough for them to understand who I am and what I believe. You know, I come from the streets. I have a redemptive story. Been married 18 years. I have a son that graduated from Yale last year. A daughter that goes to UCLA right now. A son that lives with me right now. 2 daughters who are married, one to a military guy. You know, there's life after the streets. There's nothing human. There's no human tragedy that there's not a spiritual resolution for. You know, and I represent that in my life. And that's who I am.
And I always ask all the guests this, if you had to pick one, money, fame, or love, which one would you pick?
If I had to pick one?
Yeah, money, fame, or love.
Money, fame, and love? Oh, that's easy. The scriptures declares that God is love. I choose God. God is love, so that's love. That's
what's up. All right,
let's just say, if you had one to choose, let's not even say that. What have you chosen? Which should be your question. I've chosen God, love.
That's what's up. All right, and then we've been hitting this all interview, but I always ask this question. So, any advice you want to give to the listeners? Like, just any advice?
Well, just stay up on some of the things that I'm doing. The advice I'm really trying to get to our listeners, our people, is that we must become an informed people. Right now, we are people who are entertained. It's an optical delusion. It's deflecting. As long as they can keep your attention being entertained, and we are overly sexualized people, because there's no leadership and there's no structure and there's no discipline. So the voice of the leader has to rise again, and it has to be a transparent leader. So we have to get ourselves together. This is important. As we are fighting exterior enemies, we need to fight those interior enemies as well. We have to get that done. And, I guess that's all I can say. I love everybody, and I'm fighting for you, and I'm here for the duration, and they'll hear more of it.
Yeah, the next question, I was going to say, what do you want to say to your supporters and your fans? What you want to tell them? You kind of just said it.
Yeah.
All right. I want to say thank you for coming through Politickin with me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, loved one.
All right. And you said, like, you on the Facebook, the Gram, Twitter, all that?
Facebook, Andre, I believe it's Andre Taylor under Facebook, or Andre L. Taylor, one of those. But I do most of my stuff through my Facebook and my websites. I have a Twitter at Real Gorgeous Dre, and I have a Instagram at Real Gorgeous Dre. But I do a lot of the writing and stuff on the Facebook. So basically, go check it out. I can't accept any more friends that people can follow. So, like I said, just go to those sources. OperationAndreTaylor.org or GorgeousDre.com. It's the same one. And also NotThisTime.global. So we got a lot. I'll be in their city because I'm going to be pushing this agenda. So I love you guys. Appreciate, you having me on. And, and we'll talk soon.
Since 2008, there has been one website, www.popolitickin.com. On top of the music business, behind the scenes, and on the front line. Chris Porter, a.k.a. Po Politickin. Mr. Porter has worked with everybody. Universal Motown Records, Young Money, Rockefeller Records, and more. Po Politickin is a conscious brand that aligns with artists, businesses, and brands to get more exposure. What are you waiting for? It's time to open your mind to the other side of the music business. Log on to www.popolitickin.com. That's www.popolitickin.com. Call 760-717-5803 for your interview. That number again is 760-717-5803.